Welcome to the Real Money Pathway, where I share my journey from financial collapse to lasting wealth. I'm David Kim, and I'll guide you through practical strategies that transform my finances and can transform yours too. Let's build your pathway to financial freedom.
The content of this podcast is provided for general information purposes only and do not constitute financial advice. Listeners should not act upon the content or information here without first seeking appropriate advice from a financial professional.
Welcome back to Real Money Pathway. I'm David Kim, and we're continuing our journey through Season 2's focus on protection and security. Last episode, we talked about insurance essentials during rebuilding. Today, we're tackling something that didn't even exist when I first went through bankruptcy: comprehensive digital financial security. I want to start with a story that still makes my palms sweat when I think about it. It was about 2 years into my recovery, and I was finally feeling a little confident about my financial rebuilding. I was checking my bank balance one morning when I noticed something odd. There was a pending transaction for $500 that I definitely didn't make. My heart sank. I was careful with my rebuilding with every dollar, but somehow someone was trying to steal from me. That incident led me down a rabbit hole of discovering just how vulnerable our financial lives have become in this digital age, and how easy it is to protect yourself if you know what to do. Here's the thing: you don't need to be a tech expert to have strong digital financial security. You just need to understand the basics and build some simple habits. Today I'm going to share exactly how to do that using plain English and practical steps that anyone can follow. In today's world, digital security isn't optional. It is an essential financial protection. Let me be blunt. If you think digital financial threats only happen to other people, you are wrong. The bad guys have gotten really good at this, and they're specifically targeting people like us, folks who are rebuilding financially and might not have sophisticated security systems in place. During my recovery period, I was particularly vulnerable because my bankruptcy information was public record. Scammers were using details from my bankruptcy filing to try to convince me they were legitimate creditors or government agencies. I got calls about tax debts that didn't even exist and emails about unclaimed bankruptcy funds that were total scams. Here's some of the most common threats that you'll face. Phishing attacks. These are fake emails or texts designed to steal your information. They've gotten really scary good at looking legitimate. I received one that perfectly mimicked my bank's website, complete with logos, formatting. The only difference was the website was slightly wrong. Instead of chase.com, it was chase-security.com. Account takeovers. This is when someone tries to gain access to your existing systems. They're not creating a new account. They're accessing the accounts that you already have. This is what happened to me with my $500 transaction. Someone had gotten a hold of my debit card information and was testing amounts before making larger purchases. Then there's identity theft. This goes way beyond just stealing your credit card. This is when someone uses your personal information to open new accounts, file tax returns, or even get medical care in your name. During financial recovery, this is particularly devastating because it can damage the credit you're working so hard to rebuild. And finally, social engineering. This is when scammers manipulate you into giving them information or access. They might call pretending to be from your bank and ask to verify your account by providing your login information. They're not hacking your computer, they're hacking your trust. So why does recovery make you a target? Unfortunately, people in financial recovery are prime targets for several reasons. First, our information is often more widely available due to court filings, credit applications, or working with multiple new financial institutions. Second, we're often stressed and making lots of financial changes, which makes us more likely to fall for some urgent sounding scams. When you're worried about money, a call about an urgent tax issue or account problem triggers that panic response that eventually overrides good judgment. And third, we're often using new financial services and apps as we rebuild, which means we're not familiar with how legitimate communications from these companies should look and feel. Here's what many people don't realize: digital financial crimes don't just cost you money, they can derail your entire recovery process. When my debit card number was compromised, The bank froze my account while they investigated. So for 3 days, I couldn't access my money. I couldn't pay bills, couldn't receive client payments I was expecting. Even though the bank eventually refunded the fraudulent charges, those 3 days of financial uncertainty set me right back to the anxiety and stress I was working so hard to escape. And that's the hidden cost of these crimes. They don't steal just your money, they steal your peace of mind. The good news? Most of these threats are preventable with basic security habits that take just a few minutes to set up and become second nature to maintain. Okay, so let's talk about the security basics that everyone needs, regardless of whether you consider yourself tech savvy. These aren't complicated, they're just essential. First, password management. That's your very first line of defense. After my account breach, I realized I had been making a pretty classic mistake using the same password for multiple accounts. When one account gets compromised, suddenly all of your accounts are at risk. Here's my simple password system that anyone can use. First, use a password manager. I use a simple one that actually comes with the Apple ecosystem. It handles everything for me. It creates strong, unique passwords for every account, and it remembers them so I don't have to. And as a bonus, they are synced across my MacBook and my phone. If you're not ready for a password manager, here's a manual system that works. Create a base password that's meaningful to you, but not easy to guess, like your pet's name or your children's name or your last name. Then add something specific to each site. So, for example, if your base password is green dog 23, then for Chase, let's say you can use green dog 23 exclamation mark Chase, and then green dog 23 exclamation mark email for your email password. Next comes two factor authentication. This is a security superpower, something that I apply everywhere it's available. This is the single most effective thing that you can do to protect your accounts. Two factor authentication means you need two things to log in: your password and then something else, usually a code sent to your phone or a physical token that you press on your laptop or even your fingerprint. I enable this on every financial account and any other important accounts like banks, investment accounts, credit cards, even PayPal. Yeah, it adds an extra step when you're logging in, but it makes your accounts exponentially more secure because nobody can log in even if they have your password. They would need to have access to your phone or your fingerprint on your laptop or your face on your iPhone. Most banks now do offer this through their mobile apps. When you log in, the app sends a notification to your phone that you have to approve. It literally takes an extra couple seconds and provides massive protection. Also, look at safe connection practices. Never, ever access financial information on public Wi Fi. If you absolutely must access financial information while you're out, use your phone's cell data instead of Wi Fi. At home, make sure your Wi Fi network is password protected. I was shocked to discover that my neighbor's network was completely open. Anyone could connect and potentially monitor that internet traffic. For your devices, keep your devices updated. I know those update notifications are annoying, but they often include security fixes. So I set my phone and computer to update automatically overnight so I don't even have to think about it. Definitely use lock screens on those devices. If someone steals your phone and it's not locked, they have access to every app you're logged into. I use a 6-digit PIN on my phone. It's much more secure than a 4-digit code. Or for email, be really suspicious of any urgent financial emails. Legitimate financial institutions rarely ask you to take immediate action via email. When in doubt, don't click the links in the email. Instead, go directly to that company or bank's website or call them using the number on your statement. I have a simple rule: if an email creates any sense of urgency or panic about my finances, stop and verify it independently before taking any action. Another step is to set up monitoring and alerts. Set up your account alerts for everything. I get a text message for any transaction that's over $100. any login from a new device, and any change to my account information. Yes, this means a lot of text, but it also means I know immediately if something unusual happens. So check your accounts regularly. I look at my bank and credit card accounts at least weekly, and I check my credit report quarterly. So the sooner you catch something suspicious, the easier it is to fix. And trust but verify, an approach that security professionals use everywhere. I never take financial communications at face value anymore. If someone calls claiming to be from my bank, I hang up and call the bank back using the number on my statement. If I get an email about a suspicious account activity, I log into my account directly rather than clicking on that link. This may seem paranoid, but it just takes a few extra seconds and provides huge protection. Legitimate companies understand and respect that caution. These practices have become second nature to me now, and they take almost no time once you get used to them. The key is starting with one or two practices and building the habits before adding more. So, now let's talk about creating your entire digital security system. I'll walk you through exactly how I built mine during recovery and how it's matured step by step. This isn't about becoming a cybersecurity expert, it's about creating simple, sustainable habits that protect your financial well being. Week one is all about password cleanup. I started by securing my most critical accounts, banks, investments, and email. I changed these passwords on these accounts first, making sure it was a unique and strong password. Just took about an hour on a Sunday afternoon and immediately made me so much more secure. Week two, I enabled two factor authentication on all of those same critical accounts. Most banks make this really easy, and some even require it. It's usually just a toggle of a switch in your security settings. The hardest part was remembering to have my phone nearby when logging in for the first few days. Apple does make it pretty easy with your text being able to be received on your MacBook from your iPhone. Android does also have a similar feature for Windows. Week three, account alerts and monitoring. I set up text and email alerts for all of my financial accounts. This was actually kind of fun, like creating an early warning system for my finances. I started getting notifications for every transaction, which helped me stay aware of my spending too. And then week four, security review and cleanup. I went through my email and deleted anything suspicious, cleaned up my downloads folder, added things in my email to junk and spam and reported phishing, and reviewed what apps had access to my financial information. I also set up automatic updates on my devices. Then there's the monthly security check. I do this quick security review once a month. It takes about 15 minutes. Check your credit reports. I use the free weekly reports. Review all your bank and credit card statements. Update passwords that are over 6 months old. And then clean out my email and delete suspicious messages. So my current security setup looks like this now, not to intimidate, but to show you where these practices have led over the last 10 years. I have a password manager within the Apple ecosystem that creates a unique, strong password for every single account. I also have two factor authentication on all of my financial and important accounts. I have credit monitoring through my bank, which is a free service. I also do pay about $10 a month for identity monitoring services. I've set up secure digital document storage. And then, of course, the monthly and regularly scheduled security reviews and updates. Now, how does this work in a family situation? When Lacey and I got really serious about our relationship, we had to coordinate, among many things, our security practices. We created shared access to important accounts while maintaining individual security. We used a shared secured note on our phones to share passwords for joint accounts and maintain separate ones for individual accounts. We also created a family security plan that includes what to do if either of us suspects a security breach, how to communicate about financial security concerns, and regular reviews of our protection systems. Well, here's the cost benefit reality. People often ask me, is all this security worth the cost and effort? So let me put it into perspective. My basic security setup costs about $15 per month and takes about 30 minutes a month to maintain. Compare that to what identity theft could cost thousands of dollars in direct losses, hundreds of hours of dealing with cleanup and damaged credit that affects loan rates, and of course, the stress and anxiety of having your financial life disrupted. That $15 monthly investment has probably saved me thousands of dollars and countless hours of hassle. Now, the key is not to try implementing everything at once. I built this security system over months and years, adding a new practice at a time that eventually became habits. So start with the basics, a strong password for each account, two-factor authentication on those important accounts. Once those become routine, add monitoring and alerts and add more sophisticated protection as you become comfortable with the basics. The goal isn't perfect security, that's just impossible. The goal is to make yourself a harder and much less appealing target to those bad people. Most cyber criminals are looking for easy victims. Basic security practices make you not worth their time. So here's today's practical takeaway. Let's make this immediately actionable. Digital security can feel overwhelming, but I've broken it down into simple steps that anyone can follow. So today's practical takeaway is the Digital Security Essentials Checklist, the same one that I used during my recovery. You can find a detailed version on realmoneypathway.com and therealmoneyguide.com. Your 30-day digital security challenge. Here it is. So, week 1, secure your core accounts. Change your password on your bank, investments, and email accounts. Make each password unique and strong, or set up a password manager. Write down your password securely if you're not using a password manager yet. Week 2, add that two-factor authentication. Enable two-factor authentication on all financial accounts. Test it to make sure they work correctly, and save the backup codes in a secure location. Week 3, set up your monitoring. Enable account alerts for all financial accounts. Sign up for free credit monitoring if you don't have one. And review your recent accounts for anything unusual. Week 4, clean house. Delete suspicious emails and unsubscribe from financial emails you don't recognize. Review what apps have access to your financial information. And finally, update your devices if needed. So here's this week's assignment. Just pick one of these tasks and complete it in the next 7 days. I recommend starting with changing your banking passwords if you suspect that they might be weak or reused. Once you've built your security foundation, maintain it with one simple daily habit. Before you check your financial accounts each day, take 30 seconds to look for anything unusual, unsuspected emails, unfamiliar transactions, or login alerts from locations you don't recognize. This 30-second habit caught several potential issues for me before they became real problems. And remember the goal. You're not trying to become unhackable. You're trying to make yourself a less attractive target while protecting your financial security. Every security improvement you make strengthens your overall financial protection system. Today, we covered digital financial security essentials, understanding the threats that specifically target people during financial recovery, simple security practices that provide powerful protection, and a systematic approach to build digital security habits that don't require technical expertise. The key insight: digital security isn't about being paranoid, it's about protecting the financial progress you're working so hard to build. In our next episode, identity protection after financial crisis, we're going to dive deeper into a specific threat that can be particularly devastating during financial rebuilding. I'll share how my bankruptcy created ongoing identity vulnerability and the specific strategies I use to monitor and protect my identity. We'll cover why financial crisis creates identity risk, essential monitoring approaches that don't require expensive services, and what to do if your identity is compromised during recovery. As you work on implementing better digital security this week, remember that every small improvement makes you safer. You don't have to do everything at once. Just start something and build momentum. I'd love to hear about your digital security questions and experiences, so visit realmoneypathway.com and let me know what digital security challenges you're facing. Your questions and experiences help me create content that address real concerns from real people. Until next time, I'm David Kim. Remember, it's not just about money, it's about building your real money pathway to freedom. Thanks for joining me on the Real Money Pathway podcast. I'm David Kim, reminding you that financial success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. So subscribe now for more strategies, and remember, your journey to lasting wealth starts with the very next decision you make.